Hey, and welcome back to the Gaming Podcast. That podcast where two best friends talk about gaming, retro nostalgia, and every single rail that we jump off of. As always, my name is Stuart. I'm joined by the illustrious Eduardo.
Illustrious Eduardo. We're back. It's been a
We're
while.
back.
People
It's been a
probably thought
while.
people wonder if people thought we died or something.
No, just the thing called life.
Yeah, life happens. We try to make new episodes because I know we promised on the Instagram that we were, but yeah, life happened. But we're still here. We're still doing our thing. We're still gaming. It's just being an adult sucks sometimes. That's
Oh
just
yeah,
how it goes.
absolutely. But we were able to, take a little bit of a backseat from it, get some things figured out, but also did a lot of thinking about the channel and the podcast, but also playing a ton of games. So we've
Yep.
got a ton to talk about. We did some really cool stuff last weekend that we're going to talk about. So we definitely have a lot to pack this episode with. Um, so man, let's just get into it. But what have you been playing the last few weeks? I mean,
I haven't.
besides the big one, but let's
Yeah.
talk about, some of the games you've been dabbling in, and I know you recently beat a game too, so
Yeah. What game did I beat? What game did
it,
I beat? I don't
uh,
remember.
it's your friendly neighborhood.
Oh, yeah, Spider-Man, Friendly
Yeah, there
Neighborhood
you go.
Spider-Man, yeah, I was like, "I don't even know what I beat anymore." Yeah, I finally beat Spider-Man because I know I was talking about that on the podcast, the past recent ones. Yeah, that game is awesome. It was a lot of fun, it's very immersive, like, I felt like I was Spider-Man the entire time. The bosses were great, s there's so much stuff you can do, and I'm definitely now very, very ready for Spider-Man 2. Very
Oh,
excited for that game, especially after seeing the all the videos and the gameplay and kind of what you're gonna be able to do. I'm amazed. I know you were too because 'cause you're the one that told me, "Hey, have you seen it?
mm,
They're showing Spider-Man gameplay. It's so awesome." And then I watched it like 10 minutes later, and I was like, "Holy crap, this is amazing." But yeah, Spider-Man, beat that, bought Starfield,
'kay,
haven't got too much into it so far. It's okay. It's fun, but it's okay. It's
sure,
Bethesda promised a lot of things that just really aren't there. Lots of loading screens. It's not as immersive as they said it was going to be. So, slightly disappointed in that. It looks like every other Bethesda game. Um, but I'm still going to play it eventually, but it's just one of those. I think once they do more patches and updates on it, it'll get better. But just as of right now, it's one of those I'll just probably hold off on it for a bit. But
yeah.
that's kind of what I've been doing. What about you?
Man, so, let's see. So last time we talked on the podcast, I was, starting to play through Bloodborne. So I completed 100%ed, finished all the trophies and everything for Bloodborne. That is now a top 5 game for me. That is an incredible game. I should have played it a long time ago. I was just too scared. But now I'm hooked on that style of game now. The Soul style. I plan on playing a lot of others. Definitely, dip my toes in it uh, for that one. But what an incredible game! I mean, it came out in 2015, and the graphics still hold up today. I mean, it still looks incredible. That gameplay is amazing. The story and the world they created is one of the most immersive video game worlds I've dove into. It just fully immerses you. It almost gave me the same feeling I got when I went to like Rapture and Bioshock for the first time.
Hmm.
Like it's just this super well thought out world that paints this great story that just immerses you in it. And they do such a good job at immersing you in this world. And I think that's one of the best games, in my opinion, to do that. And Bioshock again was one of my other ones. That's a huge thing. The bosses are amazing, crazy challenging, but amazing. Again, the story is awesome. The weapon, I mean, there's not one bad thing in the game, in my opinion. It's definitely worth playing. I did follow walkthroughs for it because it's my first time doing it. It is, if you're not following walkthroughs, it can definitely be challenging to figure out what to do and where to go next. That would definitely be a challenge because it does not hold your hand. If you've ever played any other FromSoft Souls games, they do not hold your hand at all. It's here you go. Here's a game. Figure it out. Which helps with the immersion a lot too. The fact that you're not having all these screens pop up, staying like, oh, you need to press triangle for this and press R1 for this, and you just kind of figure things out. It definitely helps with the immersion as well as the storyline. But anyways, yeah, I'm super glad I beat that game finally. Again, it's a top 5 game for me now. I can't wait to play some of the other games now in the series. But that kind of leads us into the game we're both playing right now,
Yeah.
which is Lies of P.
Liza P, man. It is amazing. If you haven't gotten a copy of Liza P, go grab it right now after the podcast.
Mhm.
Go buy the game. It is amazing. Yeah, it's I think listening to you throughout, like, cuz you were like in it for Bloodborne, you were
Oh yeah.
100% in it. Like, for all you listeners out there, yeah, no, every single day he would text me or call me to give me updates on where he's at and what's going on and his frustrations in life during Bloodborne.
Mhm.
It was
Oh,
hilarious,
definitely.
but yeah, he'd be like, "Oh, I'm doing the walkthrough. The guy said to do this, this, this. I'm doing it. I'm dying. He told me this to do with the boss, but he didn't mention this about the boss. So now I had to figure this out on my own." But you were like, you beat it, and yeah, then you finally
Yeah.
sent me that 100% achievement completed,
Oh
and I was
yeah.
like, man, but listening to you the past, like, however many weeks was that you were playing, it got me excited. I was like, "Man, I really need to play Bloodborne now." And
Too.
then also we were seeing stuff for Lies of Peace. I'm like, "I'm kind of pretty excited about this game just because you've been playing Bloodborne." And we
Mhm.
finally picked it up, and it's been an amazing, amazing experience. I don't know if you wanna talk about a little kind of what you've thought, what you think about the game so far?
Sure, absolutely. So, if you're not familiar with it, it's actually from a really unknown developer from South Korea called NeoWiz, and it's a Souls-like game. So it's based in like an 1800s France, and basically it's a very loose interpretation of the story of Pinocchio. It's based on it, and that's where a lot of the characters come. And it's not the Disney Pinocchio; it's the original work of art
Very far
or the
from Disney.
original. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Its original novel is what they're going off, Carlo Collodi, and not the Disney version. Um, but basically, long story short, there's a puppet frenzy that takes over. The puppets basically get a mind of their own and start attacking, killing, spreading a virus all over the city called Krat. And then basically, Pinocchio is selected to defeat it. Basic plot analysis there. But the game is one, it is gorgeous. I mean, we
Mhm.
can both agree on that. Like the
Oh,
game is
100%.
amazing. The world is incredible. Like I don't know if you've looked there. You're where you're at right now. There's definitely certain spots, but have you looked over and just looked at the city?
Um, yeah, no, there's definitely just I think times in the game where if there is no enemies around me, I'll
Yeah,
just kinda stop and just
I know.
honestly just stare at the game and just, like, the areas that I'm in. There
Mm-hmm.
is so much detail. I love the kind of that gothic, dark, I don't know, there's kind of a somewhat of a steampunk feel to it.
There is.
Um, but it is a gorgeous game. They put so much detail into it.
Mhm.
Just like Bloodborne, it's very immersive. You just kinda have to figure it out as you go.
Yep.
And the enemies are super cool. Each enemy, none of them are the same. They've all got their own thing. And like the puppets, they are creepy. That they're like puppets that nightmares are made out of. When you think of a terrifying puppet that wants to like kill you and haunt you in your dreams, or not dreams, but nightmares, that's what these puppets are. And they're all challenging in their own way. And I think it's so awesome how each puppet that you face, each different type of puppet has their own unique set of skills, and you have to just try and figure it out. You
Mm-hmm.
can't just hack and slash, and I think that's been one of my favorite things about this game because I'm not used to these style of games. It's not something I've ever really played. I've maybe dabbled in Dark Souls like for 10 minutes, a little bit in Elden Ring, not a lot, maybe a couple hours in Elden Ring. So I'm very new to this style of gameplay, but it's been amazing. But yeah, no, just the way the game looks and just everything about it, it's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they put so much like little detail, nuances into the game. There's a lot of secrets I'm finding too, with no spoilers that are just they really add even more to the game. Uh, but yeah, I mean this game is incredible. First off, it is very difficult. So
Yeah.
if you haven't played a game like this before, there's definitely a boundary there and a price of admission to get into it. It is
Yeah.
not an easy game, like you were saying, Ed. It's you cannot hack and slash your way.
Nope.
Um, they make it very much a parry game. It's very much aggression, like Bloodborne, It's more parrying and perfect parrying, more like the Sekiro games, but very tight parry windows. So you really have to read your enemies. You really have to learn the enemies, learn the bosses to figure out their combos, to figure out like timing. Because there's different things in the game. You can do just a parry, and the parry is kind of cool because it doesn't take all your health. It takes a little bit of your health. But if you're aggressive and you go in and start whacking at the enemy, you can gain some of that health back, which is a really cool mechanic. And it
Mhm.
definitely balances that line of like you need to stay aggressive, but also you need to be in there and parrying. And then there's also a perfect guard. So if you time it perfectly and hit it, it basically starts to weaken the enemy. It can even break their weapon in some cases. Once you stagger them enough, you can actually put a big hit on them and do some like if you're used to Souls games, a visceral or like a big attack, which basically stuns them and you can get some big damage in. But it's very, very aggressive with very aggressive parrying skills. So if you're just going in there, just whacking the light and heavy attack buttons, you're not going to make it far in this game. And the dodging is not the best use. Not like how like Bloodborne's very dodge based. The Souls games are a little bit more dodgy and more block. This you can dodge, but it doesn't do a lot. It helps in certain circumstances. I don't know about you. Um, I've had some circumstances where it's helped, but honestly, getting really good at parrying that's your key to success in this game.
Yeah, no, I agree with you when it comes to dodging. The difference between dodging and parrying on that game. No, I agree with you. Pairing is definitely the way to do it. When I first started, I was just trying to dodge and roll as much as I could, and it didn't work too well. It works on
No,
occasion for certain things, but me learning how to parry is what's been saving my butt
yep.
and allow me to advance in the game, which it's been hard because I am not a good parrier at all. I am horrible, and it takes me a while because it's just having to learn to read the enemies and learning their move and all the things that they do and kind of learning it and getting the timing just right. It's been hard for me. It's been a challenge, and this game's definitely teaching me patience.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it's weird though because normally sometimes I can play a game and I'll get frustrated and not want to pick it up again. This game, I'm like maybe fighting an enemy a gazillion times, like a million times what it feels like. But I don't know. It's just I will keep on wanting to go back, even though I've died like 50 times or 100 times, whatever. I'm just like, you know what? No, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna defeat this thing somehow. So I just keep on going and going. It's very addicting. It gives you a rush.
It
Weirdly
does.
enough, it's weird, but it's so much fun. Yeah, it's very addicting.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird how these games are like they're punishing. You're going to die, and
Mm.
that's the whole thing of these games. But if you're playing them right, when you do succeed on a boss or beat a really hard enemy or get to a certain area, the satisfaction is way higher. And I think that helps also with the immersion I was talking about earlier. Is you get so invested in this game and you start learning the enemies and advancing your skills, whether it's adding more stats to your character, building different weapons, which we'll go into a little bit later, or doing whatever else you need to do, and then seeing that actually pay off like, oh, I upgraded this weapon. Oh, this attack's really helping. Or my parrying skills are getting way better. And being able to pass enemies later on in the game that you had to struggle with at the beginning of the game. Like, that's a huge satisfaction,
Oh,
also.
yeah.
Like, you're getting better at the game, your character's getting stronger, you're getting better at parrying. But getting to the bosses, these bosses are very difficult. And if you're not
I
used to
know they are.
parrying, like, yeah, we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, we'll get
but,
into that.
they're very difficult. They're very unrelenting. If you're not prepared to start blocking and parrying, these bosses could take you out in less than 5 seconds. If
Oh,
they
one.
got on you and you're just going in trying to like slash them, you are gone in 5 seconds. No questions asked. They are
Yeah,
very
no.
aggressive bosses.
Yeah, no,
But
these bosses yeah, no,
yeah, if
these
you want to talk about your experience with it,
sure, no, I was just gonna say, right quick, is just no, these bosses are definitely those bosses that you have to be 100% focused. You can't
Mhm.
be, like, focused on other things, right? You just gotta be focused at the task at hand. Because if you're not, it's game over. You literally will die in, like, less than 5 seconds.
Oh yeah,
Uh, 1 hit can just take you out if yeah, 1, 2 hits, but these bosses are just crazy, and it's very painful to just watch yourself die 100 times.
Oh, it sucks. I feel like it's a lot harder, like, coming from Bloodborne, which has a ton of bosses and some amazing bosses. But there was a few bosses that they were gimmick bosses. Like, they were easy, you could cheese through them,
Yeah.
or just with a little bit of, like, barely any skill, you could knock them out. There's 2 or 3 I can think of right off the top of my head. I have not run into one boss, and I think I'm finishing on, like, the 8th act
Yeah,
right
you're
now.
doing a
So I'm
lot further than me just because I got stuck on a boss, which I said we'll talk about that in a minute.
Oh, yeah, but I'm probably at 75-ish% of the way through the game, at the time of recording this, and not one boss has been like, "Oh, that was simple." I think my lowest amount, and I'm not great at these games. I'm getting a lot better. Bloodborne definitely helped, but anyways, I've tried. I think 5 was my lowest amount to beat a boss. But my most was the boss you got stuck on, and that
Yeah.
took me, I don't even know how many tries, 35 ish. It was probably a good 2.5 hours of trying on this boss. But if you want
Yeah.
to talk about your grand story,
Yeah, so, that same boss that took you, like, 35 tries took me, I would say, definitely 100 tries. I'm not even joking. 100 tries to beat this
oh,
dude. It was brutal. I was just getting destroyed. It was horrible. It was the hardest boss I've ever faced in my entire career in gaming, if you wanna say career, whatever.
sure,
It
why not?
was yeah, it was ridiculous. Like, this dude, he's like I said, this dude can take you out in 1, 2 hits, and when
Hmm.
I first started, I was just trying to roll and dodge a lot, which didn't work, so it's one of those I had to get better at parrying, and I know we'd be on the phones at the exact same time, like, you'd be playing, I'd be playing, and you'd be trying to, like, help like, almost coach and guide me through the fight as, like, a Rocky movie.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
definitely, and no, this dude literally took me 100 tries to defeat him. It was horrible. It probably took me I think I started him on Friday, and I think it was or
it was
Friday
Saturday.
or Saturday?
It was like you texted me at 12:06 in the morning
Yeah.
on Saturday night, so Sunday.
Yeah, going to
Um,
Sunday.
and yeah, you called me and texted me in all caps. I finally beat it.
Yeah, 'cause I started Friday and played for a couple hours, couldn't beat him. I was like, "Okay, you know what? I'm gonna be done for the night. I'm gonna go sleep, wake up, play again." I started playing, I think, at like 7 o'clock in the evening
Yeah.
or 6, and it was like, yeah, midnight, a little after midnight when I finally called you, and I was like, I beat him. So from 6 to midnight, I was just trying to fight this boss. That's almost literally almost a full day's work, almost
Oh
8 hours,
yeah.
6 hours. I was 2
Trying
hours
to beat
short
one
of a
boss.
full day of like actual work. But I beat him, and it was the greatest feeling ever. Now I just
Mhm.
so I beat him, so now there's a lot more bosses to face, so,
Oh, yeah.
we'll see how many tries it takes. Hopefully not 100, but,
I
um,
hope not. I hear, like, I haven't gotten to it. I've still got a few more bosses left. I hear the last few are absolutely brutal.
yeah,
So we'll have fun with that. But
I'm looking at 2, 3, 400 tries.
oh, at least, you know.
I'm IGN, the review that I listened to, like, I like his review. I thought it was a solid review, but, he's full of crap when he said, "Oh, these bosses aren't that bad."
uh
I don't know
I
what's
think it's
wrong
a lot
with him.
harder
That's a
to
lie.
it's definitely more difficult if you haven't played a game like this. If you've put a lot of time into Souls games, Sekiro, things that have a lot of parrying mechanics to them, it does come a little bit more naturally, I guess. Because I can see both sides because I've been reading other people's reviews and everyone's polarized on it. Some are saying, oh, they're over animated movements on the bosses and they're easy to figure out. For me, I didn't think so, and a lot of other people were having a way harder time even than you, Ed. Like,
Yeah.
there were some people who were like, "I've been stuck on this boss for 3, 4 days."
So I can
Uh,
feel a little bit better about myself then, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, so there's some people really struggling on it. There's some people who can't even get past the first boss. So,
Yes.
it depends on what your level is with this type of game. It is unrelenting. You need to get good at the game, or the game's gonna kick your butt.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yep.
yeah. You can't like my wife came by and she's watching me. She's like, "This looks difficult." I was like, "Yeah, it is." She's like, "Can you lower the difficulty rating on this?" It's like not on these type of games. Like there's one difficulty and it's kick your butt. Like
Yeah.
you you get harder on these games. You do new game plus and it gets even more difficult. So there's not a difficulty. The
And
difficulty is difficult. Uh,
another thing yeah, that 100%. Another thing about it, because I know some games you can like, because there are items that you can throw and use towards the boss to help you.
oh,
Like
they're
other
great.
games, if you die, sometimes you can just like quit and and find a load where you still have all your items and just
Mhm.
keep on doing that. No, this doesn't allow that. It's just once you use up your items, they're gone until you farm some more items. You
Oh
can't
yeah.
just go back to like previous load files, save files, and just load whatever, save file you want. You can't do that. It's just
Yeah.
this is
They
it.
the game doesn't let you,
Yeah,
and
no.
that's like a Souls game thing, which I like. Unless you
Oh,
wanna
I
be
enjoy
a
it. Yeah.
dirty, dirty boy and you wanna save scum, but just depends on what you are there, but,
Yeah.
uh, I had to do it to get some endings of Bloodborne, but it's fine. It's
Yeah,
okay.
just you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. If you really are really struggling on a section, it's not bad because games are fun.
Mhm.
You go into PlayStation, and even if you have a USB drive or cloud save, you can cloud save on there, and then you can load in your cloud save to your PlayStation after, like, say, there's a certain boss you're getting kicked your butt on or whatever. And then you can reload that cloud save and then start back from that location, and
Smart,
you can just
sneaky,
keep doing that.
sneaky.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So if
that
there's a section like you've got all the items you want or whatever, and you know it's a boss that's gonna kick your butt, you could do that. It takes more time,
mm,
um, but you can save that spot to the cloud. If you lose to the boss or lose to a section, you can go into your cloud save and load that save into your PlayStation, and then go back into that same load.
a
So,
and honestly, that the boss that took me 100 tries, it was honestly an item that made it happen. Towards the end, I
mhm.
used the saw blade,
Oh, I love the
and
saw blade.
that ended up saving me. If it wasn't for the saw blade, I wouldn't know what to do. Because using your,
Great.
what are they called? Your little person that you can use, to help you during the fights?
Oh, the Spectre?
The Spectre? Yeah, he did absolutely nothing to help.
He did. Oh, in
Uh,
that fight, he does absolutely
he
nothing.
was worthless.
Yep.
So it literally came down to me just having to get better and better. But it was cool. Like after so many tries, I would notice I'm like, oh man, I'm getting better. And before I knew it, like during the first part of the boss fight, my parries were solid. And then it was at that point just figuring out the second half whenever he kind of
Yeah,
changes how his fighting style. But yeah, it's crazy. You do see improvement and
you do.
um leveling up your stuff, you actually do see improvement. Like when you level something up and upgrade all your stuff, you actually notice it. Because there's lots of games where you upgrade and you're like, is this upgrade actually do anything? I'm really not sure. But on here, you definitely notice when you upgrade your stuff and level up your stuff. It's 100% noticeable, which
That's
is
what I
really
love about those type of games, is and Bloodborne is the same way, depending on the type of build you're building, when you start putting in, stuff to your build, advancing your character, adding new stuff to your weapon, adding new weapons, you can tell a difference. And even if you're having like there's some later bosses I was having some struggle with. So I go back to like the main hub area and rework some things, re-update some things, and then go back to it. I could tell an immediate difference with just a different strategy, a different set of weapons, maybe adding some different upgrades in the certain areas. I could tell a difference on how I wanted to play, and it reflected in that in my fighting and in the boss battle, which is extremely rewarding too. And I think that's the fun part about these games too is if you are losing to a boss, it's okay, where am I getting killed at? Or what are the issues I'm having with? And what can I do to, you know, redo my build, redo my weapon set, uh, redo attacks, whatever it is to try to face the boss. And when you do that and it's successful, that's also extremely satisfying. I
yeah.
definitely had a few of those moments that were just okay, yeah, this build is clicking better, or
Mhm.
this weapon set is working really well on this enemy.
Yeah,
So
no,
that, like you were saying, like all of that makes sense, and you can see that. and seeing that work and effort and kind of thought process into trying to figure out certain enemies and bosses
Mm.
makes the game even more fun.
Yeah, no, I've
More satisfying to beat those bosses in
yeah.
those areas.
Yeah, no, I've been learning playing this game, it causes me to have to stop and just analyze how I'm playing and what I'm doing, and
Mhm.
makes me have to, like, be like, "Oh, I need to change up my strategy, I need to try this," or maybe I should go and, like, level up my weapons and do this and do all these different things. Because there's times where it's like you're doing something, it's like, "This isn't working," so you gotta stop and literally figure out, "What can I do to change up my strategy?" And
Yeah.
it's super cool, like, this game, it makes you think, and it also
Mhm.
makes you think on your feet too, because there's just when you're fighting a boss or fighting enemies, you gotta think on your feet at times. Like, when you're doing a move, you already have to be thinking about the next 2, 3 moves that you're gonna be doing. You can't just be thinking about this one attack or dodge that you're doing. You already gotta be thinking about the future moves and dodges or whatever that you're gonna do. You can't just think of one thing. So there's, like, 100 things going through your brain all within a span of, like, 2, 3 seconds. It's
Oh, yeah.
crazy. And
Oh, that's what's fun about them.
oh, yeah, and like you said, the game is very difficult, it's hard, but the game is fair, it's just we tell each other, it's like, "The game really is fair, it's just if you're not doing good, it's literally because you probably suck, and you just need to
Mhm.
practice and get better." Like, the game, in actuality, it is difficult, it is very difficult, and at times, it's like, "This is not fair," but when it comes down to it, it is a fair game, it's just you suck and you just got to get
Yep.
better is what it comes down to. And that's what I'm having to do because I'm not saying I'm great. I suck with a
Yeah.
capital SUCK. I suck, but um
But you're getting better,
I'm
and
getting
that's what I was
better.
telling you, is,
Yeah.
like, if you can get through this game, I think you will have a really, really fun time with Bloodborne,
Yeah, no.
because the parrying system is different in Bloodborne, but you can dodge a lot more attacks, so it's all the stuff you like too, without the really crazy parrying
Mhm.
capabilities. If once you get past this game, and then we'd probably play New Game Plus because 'cause we're masochists and
Yeah.
we want to put ourselves in it more, go
Yep.
play Bloodborne. It is absolutely worth it. I think after this game, you'll have a really fun time with
Oh,
Bloodborne too.
I'm excited for Bloodborne.
Yeah.
This has like opened my eyes. I'm like, man, this has just opened up a whole new world of gaming for me. So I'm very excited for all future games that I'll be playing. That's this style of gaming. So
Like,
it's awesome.
this was one that I was so afraid of, and I know you were the same way of,
Oh
like,
yeah.
I mean, I tried to I've owned Bloodborne since 2015 when it came out, and I've tried to play it 3, 4 different times, and I get to the first boss, I beat the first boss, and then I kinda start getting lost, and then I just stop playing. Um, the walkthrough really helped, and I think it helped have my appreciation for the game more, but also built my confidence in that style of game and that particular game more as well.
Mhm.
Where going into Liza P, it's not as open. It's definitely more linear, which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I like the fact, like, if you ever played other FromSoft Souls games, the story is very cryptic. It's embedded inside of, like, armor specifications and notes that you find and little tiny dialogue you have with random NPCs throughout, scattered around the world. So the story is not fed to you, and trying to figure out the plot and everything is not the easiest thing in those games. Where Liza P does feed you the story, and there is
Mhm.
great cutscenes and great dialogue and a ton of really cool stuff that you can find, secrets and books and all this other stuff that give you even more insight. And you can even talk to a lot of the other characters that you see in the game, and there's a ton of dialogue. So if you want to learn more about the game and learn about more of the different cities and events, there's someone out there that you can talk to that gives you even more insight,
Yeah,
and then gives you insight on their past.
it's cool, like, whenever I've, pick up books or notes or letters or
Mhm.
whatever, and, there's lots of games where I'll find stuff like that because obviously, lots of games, there's
Oh
things you
yeah,
can pick up throughout in the world, but sometimes I really never read this stuff, but on this game, I actually do read, like, the books and the letters and stuff because it just adds to this already incredible story, and it just helps you understand it that much more, and
yeah,
so it's been cool just kind of reading all the different things that I find, and also
yeah. I
just
think they've just painted a picture so much better
Mhm.
in this game.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's just a world. I don't know if it's just me and you, or if it's just how they did the game. But when I think of other games, the ones I really think of is, like, again, we'll put the Starfield thing in, but Bethesda games.
Mhm.
like in Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, you find books and writings and scrolls or whatever throughout the entire game in both of them. But it never to me feels like it adds to the story.
Yeah,
It's
no.
like some little side character or something I don't care about, or it's so like weird and cryptic it doesn't make sense. For this, the story is it's fed to you in a way that you understand it, but it makes you intrigued with it. And they only feed you a little bit at a time.
Yep.
And I think it adds that mystery to it where when you do find something, I feel like the things you find, like the books and stuff, add something to the main story.
Mhm.
Where a lot of other video games, in my opinion, don't. They're
Agree.
just kind of there.
I agree
So
100%.
yeah, I mean, I think I like that too, and I think that like you were saying with reading it, and we hadn't talked about that either on
Mhm.
like reading the different letters and books and all that. It definitely does add to the story.
Mhm. It does. So, yeah, no, everywhere I go, if I like I said, if I see a book or just something, or even if I'm talking to a random person, I make sure to pay attention to the dialogue and just really try to, because I just want to learn about this world and I want to learn about the story that's going on around me because it's such an incredible story. It's a cool, basically retelling of, or whatever, of Pinocchio, and it's such they did such a great job. Like the studio, they came out with the game literally right next to Starfield. Like these games basically came out around at the exact same time, and
Yeah,
this game is killing it. One, I think it has a way better story than what Starfield has, and it's like I said,
and
we
better graphics.
better graphics. It's got Unreal Engine, Starfield doesn't, so there's that. But just they put so much work into the story, like because they're studio that no one knows about, and we've talked about this with little
Yeah,
studios. What's cool about these studios is they put their heart and souls into this game, and you can tell when you play this game, like they put everything into this game to make it the best
mhm.
game that that it could be, and it's incredible. Like Starfield has nothing on this game. Yeah, still made a butt ton of money off of the game,
Oh
but
yeah,
just the the quality of the game is it doesn't compare. It's quality over quantity. Like
yeah.
they this studio, they figured it out and they delivered, and I think this game, I don't think like I don't know think it's gonna win game of the year or anything like that, but I think it's
No,
gonna be one of those games that's gonna be memorable. I definitely feel it's gonna gain a cult following if it hasn't already. This is gonna be one of those games that's talked about for a long time, and I'm
definitely.
excited to see what the studio is gonna do for future titles.
Absolutely. I mean, this no name studio came out with this, Souls clone, which is a very hard genre to get into.
Mhm,
I mean, FromSoft has like just locked this genre down, and there's definitely a handful of games in the style that are really really good.
mhm.
But this game came out of kind of nowhere. I
Yep.
remember watching it last year and seeing
Mhm.
the reveal trailer, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Like, I like what I'm seeing." And then after playing Bloodborne, I got really, really hyped for it. And
Mhm,
then the demo that came out was amazing. Like it was a great demo. It gave you a couple hours of gameplay. So it was phenomenal there too. And I think it really kind of a lot of people started playing that demo and like, oh, this is actually going to be really good. And once you get into the game and get into the main story and start figuring out all of the just stuff you can do, I mean, it's a very involved game. And there's
mhm,
a lot of cool things you can do. And it's got a ton of replayability, just with item collecting as well as just different builds. I mean, playing like New Game Plus and stuff, you could go in and have different builds and with different weapons because the weapon assortment is awesome. There's some really, really cool weapons, and there's something that benefits every play style.
mhm,
Uh, but the other thing I really, really like about the weapon thing is the fact that you can do the different handles.
mhm.
I don't know if you've played around with that or not
I
yet.
I haven't played around with it much in this just because I don't have like a lot of weapons yet, but I think
Yeah.
I'm finally starting to get into the part in the game where I think weapons are really going to start appearing. I'll probably start collecting a gazillion weapons. So
Oh
I have
yeah.
a feeling I'm about to probably start messing with my weapons and combining like the handles and the blades and doing all that sort of stuff. So I am curious about it. I haven't done it quite yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm getting to that point in the game where that's gonna start becoming a thing for me. So I'm definitely curious and excited to see what I can come up with and see how it.
Yeah, it's a really cool mechanic that they introduced. Because the blades. So basically, what you can, if you get a weapon, you can mix and match the handles and blades. So like, if there's a certain blade that you really really like, but you're wanting a move set from a different handle, if you put a different handle on there, you can get a different set of moves. Whether you want a slashing or a stabbing or whatever the case may be, if there's a move set you really really want, say maybe for a boss, which I've done before, but you want a certain blade because it adds more damage or does elemental damage or whatever it is, you can do that and you can play around with it. And they give you a really great testing area in the hub world where you can go out there. It's right next to where you can craft your weapons. You can go over there, you can test out your weapons and see if you like them before going into battle, which I think is a really, really cool way of doing it too.
Mhm.
Versus just trying to build it, go into a boss battle, get your butt kicked, and then have to go back.
Is Do you have a favorite build that you like so far as when it comes to combining different weapons?
Uh, I have stayed a lot stock with them because I have liked each weapon with their handle respectively,
Mhm.
but there have been a couple times where I have swapped handles in certain boss fights. So, for instance, there was one where I had my fire dagger, which I really, really like that fire dagger, but I needed longer range on it, and I wanted more slashing movement because of this particular boss fight. So, because with the fire dagger, if you hit them enough, then you can basically burn them. And when you burn your enemy or boss, the more you hit them, the more damage it does, and it keeps expanding. So you're doing a ton of damage if you can get that burn on them. But I wanted the different handle, so I used the handle off the electric. I can't remember the name of it, but
Uh,
it's basically an electric hammer.
yeah.
So I get that move set, but then I pop in the flame dagger, which gives me that flame damage, but with the move set of the
Mhm.
electric hammer,
Heck yeah.
which worked out really well. But it's just one of those things. Like it was that the electric hammer is one of those weapons I also use as well, but the fire damage did more in that particular boss fight.
Mhm.
So, which I think is really really cool, and the fact that you can play it, and that's what we were talking about earlier, is you're playing this boss and like, okay, what do I need to do different to do more damage to him, or to leverage this boss fight a little bit more? They give you the tools. It's
Mhm.
still not an easy game, but they give you the tools to cater your play style with whatever you're facing,
Mhm.
which I think is a really cool way versus just like in other games, you just have different, weapons. And okay, this weapon does better, but now I'm not doing, the fire damage, or now
Yeah.
I'm not doing this, or now I don't have the reach. Where with this, you can mix and match and really help out, trying to tailor the play style.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that it's super cool, like all the different things as when it comes to weapons. So, like as you said, I'm excited to start being able to mix and match. It just adds to the whole immersiveness, just being
Hmm.
in just customization of doing stuff in the game. So very very excited to get into that and just see what it's all about. Like I said, because you're like I said, you're a way further than me. I'm
Definitely.
literally at a chapter where the game just opened up a lot. Which you told me it's like now that you're here, the like it's
Yep.
gonna open up a lot, and it really has. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what the game has in store. Which death is definitely going to be in store for me. That's 100% guaranteed. I'm
Oh, there's way more ahead of you. Let's be very
there's
real. You're gonna die
yeah,
a
oh yeah.
lot more.
There's a part of me that wants to know, then there's a part of me that doesn't. I don't know if there is. I doubt there is. Maybe I don't want to know, but it would be cool to kind of see like a death count to see how many times I've died. There's a tiny part of me that wants to know, but there's a big
I
part of
don't.
me that doesn't because I know there's at least 100. I'm
Yeah.
definitely way past that, but I'm definitely in the hundreds. It'll probably be in the thousands.
Oh
Just
yeah. You're gonna die a lot more, but it's okay. They throw so many things at you to trip you up in this game,
mhm.
and you just have to learn and adapt. And part of dying is part of the game.
Yep.
Like you die, and you're like, okay, why did I die? Okay, I didn't parry enough, or oh, this enemy blindsided me and I didn't see him, or whatever it is, and you learn from it. So it's kind of like a roguelike game in a way, and a little bit where every round you can get better, but it's not because you get more skill,
Mhm.
like points or anything. It's because your skill is improving.
Yeah.
So I do like that a lot. Is it's punishing, but if you take the time to immerse yourself in that world and to learn from your mistakes, you'll get a lot of reward out of the game.
Mhm.
Like this game, I have definitely yelled and screamed way more for beating even a mini boss. I mean, we even talked about the mini bosses.
Oh, man, those
Like
mini bosses, they don't play.
those mini bosses are tanks. They are just they're beefy. They are sponges to attacks, and they have just some devastating move sets
Some of these
for
m
a mini boss.
Yeah, some of these mini bosses in quotations are harder than, like, final bosses I've faced
Yeah,
in previous in other games that I've played, like,
definitely.
they are ridiculous. But it's so much, like I said, it's so much fun. It's just like you die and you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna go do it again," and you just I don't know, it's just
Yeah.
you get this, like,
If you
high.
immerse in it, you will get better.
Yep.
And if you learn from your mistakes and you learn the move sets, you will get better.
Mhm.
You just have to get good at parrying. And when you do figure it out and you start getting like those perfect blocks, because you can see them, because like you'll hear a big ding from your sword and it'll
Mhm.
go red for a second. That's a really satisfying moment,
Oh,
especially
it's
when you're
very
getting
filling.
them back to back to back.
Yep,
Oh, it's
and then you get that big hit and you just, like, well on them. It's
oh,
and then you see their health just, like, drop. It's
oh,
it's
it's great.
great.
I will say during the moments of the stagger. So
Mhm,
basically, there's a part where if you're perfect blocking them enough, parrying them enough, hitting them enough, you'll get a stagger. And what it does is on their health bar, will show like a white blinking outline. And you basically have a small window to go in and do one of your big charged attacks. You have to do a fully charged big attack on the guy. If you can get it on, then basically he gets stunned. You go up to him and you can do like a big combo hit. And that is extremely satisfying. But my heart races every time because
oh,
I
yeah.
now you got to figure out the window where you can get close enough to the enemy to do a charged attack, which leaves you vulnerable for like 2 seconds to whack him. Like the other day, I was doing one, and he was literally in the air doing his big red like fury attack, which
Mhm,
those you can only perfect block. You can't parry them. You're not dodging out of the way. Like if you're far away, that's about the only way you're gonna get past it. Besides a perfect guard. And I literally charged it up as he was coming down to whack me. My charge attack went in and hit him, and I got the first hit on him. And it staggered him, and I was able to do the big hit, which was
nice.
extremely satisfying. But that timing window was milliseconds.
It's a very, 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 very small window.
Very, 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 very,
Very,
very,
very, very,
very.
very, very, very times
Yes.
infinity small.
And that's where like learning the move sets
Yep.
of these enemies and learning like how they string things together. And it is random. It's not like your old school days where it's okay, your boss is going to start out with this attack. And then, the second phase they're going to do that first attack plus add one more. And then the third phase they're going to do that plus add one more. And it's the same thing every time.
Mhm.
This they have the same move sets, but what they start out with and what they combo into and all that is very random.
Yep.
I haven't had one boss so far that has had like the same progression every time. Like they do something different every single time I
Yep.
face them,
Yep. No.
which I like a lot.
Oh, yeah. It makes it fun 'cause it keeps you on your
Mhm.
toes, or if they do kind of do something and just kinda repeat it for a little bit, they'll do it just until you get comfortable and you're like, "Oh, I got this," and they'll just completely change it up on you. That happened to me a
Oh
couple
yeah.
times where it's just like, "Oh, I think I got it. They're doing this, this, and this, so he did this during at this part, so he should do this next," and he would do it, but then there finally come a part where he just, like, does not do it, and then he kills me, and then I'm like, "Well, crap."
Oh yeah. There's definitely those where they I've gotten caught off guard a few times where they have the same move sets
Mhm.
and I'm getting in the rhythm and I'm like, I got this, like you were saying. And then they'll come out with some other move I hadn't seen yet. And
Yeah.
it's some like hidden back pocket move. And it'll kick you out of the way or whack you. And I'm like, what is this?
Mhm.
Or the ones like I don't know if you've had this yet, but and this is I don't find this a flaw in the game. This is more of you need to be very aware of your surroundings. Is I've been backed into a corner
Oh, that definitely
in mini
happened to me.
bosses and bosses. Yeah, and you're unless you have the because you're taking the blow at that point. You do not get out of corners.
No, that happened to me, that boss that took me a gazillion tries. There was
Mhm.
a couple times where he got me into a corner and it was game over. I could not do anything. I was screwed. I was out of luck. It was
Yeah.
yeah, like 2 seconds and I was like game over. Is like, well, there's nothing I can do. I just got to sit here and just take it and just
You
start
either
again.
eat it and hopefully you can get out and be
Yeah.
able to heal and have enough heals to be able to get through it.
Mhm.
But it's yeah, that's a hard one, but I was reading some people and watching some people that did complain about that. I don't really have a complaint about it because it's more realistic and
Mhm.
it's you need to survey your environment as well as the enemy. So if you backed yourself into a corner, that's your fault. That's my
Yeah.
fault for backing into a
Oh, yeah.
corner. And I should have done better at surveying, my area, trying to dodge in a certain way, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, it sucks and it's frustrating, especially if you get towards the end of a boss and they corner you and you're out of heals. Then okay, next run.
Yep.
Um, but I don't find that an issue personally. I
Oh, no.
find that more of a challenge
I
in a good way.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I enjoy the challenge. It's like everything that happens, if something happened to me, like I said, it's not because the game's unfair. It's just because I screwed up and I need to get
Mhm.
better. So I enjoy the challenge of that and the challenge of just learning.
Yeah.
It's a fun, different way to play video games that I've never experienced before. So I'm enjoying every minute of it. It's I don't know, it's like ignited this sense of gaming that this love of gaming I feel that I haven't had in a while. Like I love gaming and I know you do
Yeah.
too. We both love gaming. It's why we do this podcast. It's why we do what we do. But playing this, I feel like in a sense kind of like a little kid having that excitement of like waking up and just wanting to turn on my console and play all
Mhm.
day. It's bringing that back, that joy of
Yeah.
just like oh man, I I just wanna wake up, I wanna play, I just wanna play all day. It's just I have that excitement that I haven't felt
Yeah.
in a game in so long, and it's really cool to be able to experience that again. So there's that too that I'm enjoying with the game. I think that's why I love it. It's just bringing back this love of gaming that I forgot existed.
Oh yeah. Do you think that has something to do with the difficulty spike in the game and the reward at the end of it?
Oh, 100%. It's that feeling of it's like I'm dying, I'm getting knocked down, but then I get back up and I finally do it, and it's such a rewarding feeling. It feels
Yeah.
so good, and I that's what it is to me. It's just that I
Yeah.
did it, and, and then I go yell at my wife and tell her, "I did it, I beat the boss, I did it." I call you or text you, I'm like, "I did it," and then it's
Yeah,
just such a great feeling, and yeah, it's
it
the
is.
reward. It's just the rush that you get of
It is.
beating
I think, like you were saying, like, it takes you back to, like, the kid thing,
Mhm.
and I think it has something to do with the difficulty of it. Because even the games we had as kids were definitely more difficult,
Oh, yeah.
and they were kinda the same thing. This is definitely a lot more elaborate, more open and all that, but you
Mhm.
have a certain level, and I'm trying to get past this, certain boss or certain area, and I keep dying. And when you do, if you're really invested in the game and it's a really good game that invests you in that world, you're thinking about it constantly.
Yep.
And I haven't had that much. Like Bloodborne was the first time I really had that again for a while, but I was following a walkthrough. So with Liza P, I'm doing this all on my own, and I'm having that more and more where it's like I've definitely turned off my console and be like, okay, I need to rest.
Yep.
And I've been sitting there like about to go to sleep or eating dinner or whatever it is, and I'll think about something and be like, "Oh, I need to go do this or I need to try
Yeah.
this." And I'll run and load the game back up and try a couple more tries. And usually that works, but I think it does have something to do, kind of like the nostalgic of back in the day where games were more difficult
Mhm. Yeah.
and they were like you didn't have as many walkthroughs. And in playing a game that's brand new, there's not a ton of
Yep.
walkthroughs out there readily available yet. So it kind of takes you back to those days of you have to figure it out on your own, or you're talking with friends on the phone,
Yeah, there's
like
that
we're doing.
yeah. Yeah, I've like man, I haven't I was like thinking about it honestly, literally. Yeah, you saying that I haven't just had to like talked to a friend or anything about a game like that in a long time. Or
Yeah.
like, "Hey, what the heck do I need to do? I can't get past
Yeah.
this." And then having your friend tell you, "Oh, yeah, this is what you need to do. Try this, this, and this, and if this doesn't work,
Yep.
well, I figured out that this can work too." So, yeah, no, I haven't done that in a long time because you got the internet now. You've got YouTube, you've
Yeah.
got so many videos, you've got walkthroughs, you've got the internet to help you out. But yeah, with this game, there's there's stuff out there, but not a lot, but it's slowly coming out now. But it's just, yeah, having you tell me what to do or me giving you advice on the game.
Yeah.
It's just it's a lot of fun. It like I said, it's just like being a kid again and just having to figure it
Yeah.
out on your own, ask friends, and just really
Mhm.
dig deep to figure out how am I gonna beat this game. It's
Oh,
been
yeah.
a very enjoyable experience. So, um,
Absolutely. And it takes you back to those, like, the original walkthrough, which was the cafeteria at school.
oh yeah,
I mean, you sit down for lunch and you're like, "Oh, I've been trying to get past this part in the game or this and this," and that's where you're starting to, have all the banter and, "Oh, I got past this way," or, "Oh,
mhm,
I'm struggling too." And then you're excited for the rest of the day to go back home and try this game out.
yeah,
Um, I remember one game specifically for me that I did that, and it was the same thing. It was every day at lunch I'd talk about it, and even on the phone I would call a friend and we'd talk about the game, trying to beat certain areas or what to expect. But that was Kingdom Hearts, the original one.
mhm,
And that was really the way, because there wasn't really guides or anything. Like I ended up printing out for that game. I printed out like paper guides that were just written, like just okay, you need to turn left and turn right. There were no walkthrough guides. There was no pictures. There was no nothing. So I had that, which was very cryptic, mixed with a couple other friends that we'd talk about different things with. And for me, I think that's the only way. I mean, I 100% of that game, beat every boss, level 100 on everybody. But it takes me back to that time frame as well.
mhm,
Like there's not a lot out there, and there's little things you can watch here and there. But if you kind of turn off the walkthroughs, you turn off the YouTube, you turn off all that, and it's just like you and a couple buddies trying to beat this game.
yep,
There's
yeah,
something really rewarding with that too.
there is, yeah, no, this game honestly, like, we haven't talked about this, like, previously before the podcast. We have talked about lies
Yep.
of people. We haven't talked about this of just, like, it taking us back. It's
Mhm.
where was I was gonna say, where was I going with this? Yeah, no, it's just, it's it's been really cool just going through this. Oh, yeah, taking us back more to the old ways of gaming where you just have to figure it
Yeah.
out, ask a friend, or today, all day while I was at home working, the entire day, I was just like, "Is it 5:30 yet? I just wanna play my video
Mhm.
games." Like,
Heck
I don't
yeah.
care about anything else. I just wanna it's like me at school, like, I'm not paying attention to the teacher, I'm not paying
Yep.
attention to anything, I'm just like, "I wanna play my video game, I just wanna go home," and then when the bell rings, you're running out the door, you don't care about
Gone.
anyone else. You're just, like, beelining it to your home so you can go sit on your couch, turn on
Definitely.
the game, and play some video games. That was me today, and also, I think this morning, I'm pretty sure I woke up at, like, 3, 4 in the morning and just kind of laid there for a few minutes just thinking about the game and strategizing in my head what I'm gonna do next, and then passed out. But,
Heck yeah.
yeah, I was like, "Man, this hasn't sparked something like
Yeah.
gaming hasn't sparked anything like this in a long time for me, but this game, it's like I'm a kid again. It's like I'm 6 years old, 10 years old, whatever, just a little Ed or
Mhm.
you, little Stewart, just,
Yeah.
gaming as a kid.
I
It's a
mean, just
fun feeling.
it brings back, like we are talking about, it brings back the nostalgia. But just like the dopamine rush you get from it
Oh,
and the
yeah.
adrenaline rush you get from it, from, from the fact that you're dying, like you go into a new area. I love doing it. It always scares the crap out of me. But when you start turning a corner and it's like a new area and you're like, I don't know what's going to jump out. I don't know what enemy's there, what's going to happen. That's a huge high.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then the fact that when you figure out a boss and you beat them, that's also a big one. It hits that rush and
Mhm,
that thing you're looking for, and it's like, okay, the work I'm putting into it, the strategizing, the fact that I'm trying to get better at the game is paying off, and
mhm,
it is working. And on top of that, when you do, the story is amazing. So the reward for that is also even more story and more development. and even more things to upgrade your character with.
Mhm.
So it's just this constant evolution of just adding more and more to this game. And that's what I like about it. Like I'm even, about 3/4 of the way through
Mhm.
at this point, and I can't wait to play the last few chapters in the game to explore more of the story and
Oh,
explore
yeah.
more what's going to happen and figure out all the different endings. And I mean, it's an incredible game. It's probably one I'll probably play again and
Oh,
probably do a
yeah.
new game plus for.
100%.
But the last thing I want to talk about this game, and you haven't gotten to them yet, and I've only gotten two of them, but they killed it with the record tracks.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna eventually
This
bring
game.
that up.
Oh my goodness. So like the music in this game is good. Like the regular music for the areas is good. But there's a collectible you can get which are records. And I think there's like 16 or something of them throughout. And there's a record player in the main hub world called Hotel Krat. And when you get them, you can pop a record in and you see like the old school like putting it in, dropping the needle. And you can back out of it and the whole time you're in the hub world you can listen to the record. And there's one song on there that is it is so good. And I've listened to most of them now. They're all really good songs. They all kind of take that like late 19th century feel and kind of give it that like I don't know, jazz
Yeah, I like it
with a little
jazzy.
steampunk to it.
Yeah.
Like it just works so well. I think they're all original compositions. I'm not 100% sure,
I tried
but they are awesome.
yeah, I tried, looking up on Spotify earlier, and I couldn't find them, so I think they're
I
yeah,
know.
they're original.
I think they are.
Yeah, so it was made for the game, which is cool, but yeah, no, you sent me the YouTube of the first one, and
Oh,
I listened to it, and I was like, "Oh, man, this is great." I was, like, imagining myself I, like, closed my eyes for a second, I just imagined
yeah.
myself, like, at a jazz club, just
Mhm.
chill, listening to someone singing, and then you have the band playing, and I'm just
Oh, yeah.
imagining me, like, having an old fashioned, maybe smoking a cigar,
Heck
just,
yeah.
like, living my best life. That's when it comes to clubbing, that's my kinda clubbing, by the way, is
Oh,
literally
yeah.
super
Yeah,
chill,
yeah, yeah.
which I don't I love a good jazz club, which I don't go to them often. There is one near me that's really cool, I haven't gone to in a while, but, if I do go clubbing, in quotations, it's gonna be like a jazz club or somewhere super
Mm,
chill where I'm just listening to some good music, hanging out with a couple friends, just having a good drink, smoking a cigar or something like that. That's a good time to me. That's what that
definitely.
made me think of too. Listening to it. That was a bop. And then
It
when we
was.
went to go get food earlier today, my wife was in the car with me. I was like, "Oh, you got to listen to this song. It's from the game." Stuart sent it to me, and then she listened to it, and she's like, "Holy crap, this is amazing. This is really cool."
Yeah. It's good music.
It is.
Like, I'm not usually and we talked about it earlier too, but I'm not a big collectible person in games usually to actually look at them. Like, I get them to get achievements or whatever,
Mhm.
but I don't really look at them. This is the first time, like, I popped that record in, I heard the first 5, 10 seconds. I literally dropped my controller and listened to the entire 4-minute song
Yeah.
in the game. Literally just, like, close my eyes and listen to the song. They are that good, and it adds so much to
Mhm.
the game, and it just works so well.
Yeah, I love the
Like, they didn't have to do that.
no,
It's something small and random and collectible in the game. They didn't have to make it that good,
yeah, no,
but they
they did, like, that song, just the you have the lady singing, it's super chill, and it almost has a
It's
haunting feeling to it, which goes with the game, but she has,
oh,
like,
yeah.
this haunting sound to her voice, and, um but then you have, like, this piano melody that kinda comes in, it's sprinkled in there, and then you have, I believe it's the muted trumpet, kind of the
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
doing
It's
that
just
type
it's like, it's hard to explain, like,
yeah,
again, we've talked about it in the past, but we're both, music
yeah,
majors in college, that's how we met. So, like, the music aspect we really enjoy, and I love jazz,
mhm,
that's kinda what I played a lot of. And that it's just one of those, like, I love that genre and
yeah,
style. It kinda takes you back to, like, the old laid back,
oh, yeah,
like, Rat Pack era,
mhm,
which is more revitalization of it, but, like, that type of just chill, good vocals, it's in a kinda minor key, so it makes it kind of that, creepy sound
mhm,
in the
yeah,
background.
Yeah, it's like
It
it's
just
creepy.
works.
It's creepy, but it's a gorgeous song. I need to listen to
It
the other
is.
ones, but that first one that I listened to, that it
Yeah,
it's gorgeous. Like, um,
it is.
it's
That's my favorite one.
some
Um, this there I've listened to the whole thing now. There's some other ones that are really, really good too. Just that one is probably my favorite. It's also the first one that I got, at least. I don't know if it's the first one you get or not, but um, yeah, that one just it's good. It
like
is really, really good.
honestly, if they came out with a vinyl record with those songs on it, I would
Oh
buy
yeah.
it.
Oh,
Or
I was waiting for them to release like a edition with the songs, like a CD or
oh
something.
yeah,
I
no,
don't
I would
know, physical
100%
media.
buy
There
it.
you go. But oh, I would buy it in a second.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like it's the music is great. So man,
It is.
it's been an hour. It does not seem like it's
Oh
been
man.
an hour. Like it's been
But as you can tell, we really are enjoying this game,
yeah.
and it's incredible. Hopefully, y'all someone wants to try this game out. I definitely recommend it. Again, it is punishing. If you never played a Souls game before, be prepared. But if you're invested in it and you want to get the most out of that game, the game will give you 110%
Mhm.
out of it.
Yep.
It is amazing. Right now, it's probably, and I'll update once I finish the game. It's probably my favorite game of the year so far that I've played. Out of all the other games that have
There's
come
a
out that
lot of
I've
great
played,
games that have come out this year, continuing to come out this year. Like
oh yeah, that are great, that are phenomenal games. Diablo 4, Tears of the Kingdom, Resident Evil 4 remake. The list goes on and on and on and on. But right now, for me, that's probably my top game of the year so far.
mhm. Oh, I think it'll probably be the same thing for me right now.
Yeah,
Um, like you said, it's everything about this game is incredible. There's not really anything that I can think of that I'm like, oh, this is horrible. It's been amazing. Obviously, there's
it's just
always
hard.
yeah, it's hard, and obviously there's always things that can be improved upon, but um, it's it's an incredible game. So like as you said, if you want to play, go pick it up. It it if you've never played a game like this, it can seem very overwhelming and terrifying, but just give it a shot. I was a little scared going into it because I've never played a game like this. I knew it was going to be difficult, but it's so worth it. It is punishing.
Mm,
You're going to have to pay your dues, but it's so
worth it.
worth it. It's an amazing experience that I think will live with you. If you love
Yeah,
gaming, just pick it up. Do it.
yeah. If you love immersive story games,
Mhm.
which is I know you too. That's one
Yeah.
of my favorite genres. It definitely gives you back what you put into it.
Mhm.
Like if you're okay with the punishment, it is 10 out of 10 recommend for me, and I imagine Ed's probably gonna say the same.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, definitely pick it up. It's hard, but pick it up. But
Yep.
man, we've been talking a lot about this game, and I want to play this game. So I think we should wrap it up for today's episode.
Yeah, I know we were
Thank y'all
gonna
so much again for listening. I
yeah,
know it's been a while, but we appreciate it.
yep. I know we were gonna we did have it planned to talk about, the gaming convention because we did go to a gaming convention, and we still are a retro podcast, always, that's still
Yep.
our thing, but we had to talk about this game. It's incredible, but we talked a little bit, it got a little retro, and we talked about being kids and
Well, we
gaming,
talked
but
about
yeah,
we tied it
next
in.
yeah, we tied it in.
We always tie it in.
Yeah, we always
Yeah.
tied in, but next podcast, we'll just do uh, we'll talk about the convention and all the cool stuff that we found and what we did, because that was a lot of fun.
It
Um,
was.
so we'll talk about it in the next podcast. But
Definitely. We'll give a full podcast for that one
yeah, we'll
because
give it a
Liza P
full.
deserved a full
Oh yeah,
full episode.
oh yeah. So Liza P podcast, it needed to
Man,
be
what a
done,
great game.
and I'm about to go play it again once we're
Yeah,
done.
exactly. I'm gonna go torture myself, but
Yeah,
awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for listening. I know we're gonna be back on a schedule now, so we've got some awesome episodes planned. October is gonna be an insane game month. So again, we're a retro podcast in some aspects, but we also play new games. So I think we're gonna be talking a lot about some new games that are coming out, especially getting into October timeframe. So we're looking forward to those. Going to put a lot of time into some Spider-Man 2. And then we're both stoked for that one. So definitely look forward to a lot of episodes. Again, appreciate everyone for listening. Thanks for holding on to the small break, unplanned break that we had.
yep.
But we're back on it every week. We'll have a podcast foreseeable future. So,
Yep. If not, we'll both go to
yeah,
the corner of shame.
yes, yes, that corner of shame, it's getting a couple cobwebs on it,
Yeah,
but
a couple
yeah, someone will
cobwebs.
send it
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah.
But you have anything else before we sign out?
I do not. I've got nothing.
Alrighty. We'll sign out and go play some Lies of P. So
Oh,
thank
yeah.
y'all so much for listening. And until next time, peace out and game on.
Peace.